What is up, everybody? Welcome back to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. I am Wingman Steve.
And I'm Chris 183. And today we are back once again.
Finally,
once again, with Drive-Thru Summer. I feel like we just did Drive-Thru Summer, but this isn't just any Drive-Thru Summer, Steve.
No, you have to do the voice since you're announcing it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath.
We never agreed on that voice.
Did you forget that? We haven't recorded or had an episode in like a long time, so
that was just
completely forgotten how to do this.
That was just something you did. I never agreed to that. We never agreed.
If it's done the first time, it has to be repeated, so go ahead.
Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath. Is that good? Does that work?
It's all right.
Well, I'm excited anyway, so I'll use the voice. Guys, this is a big thing for us because we get to go back to Drive-Thru Summer. Well, first of all, I love summer, so that's number one. I love Drive-Thru. That's number two. So we get to do both all at the same time. How can you beat that? And today we're going to go back to a band that I actually really, really enjoyed last summer when we talked about them, the RX Bandits. Only today we're going to talk about another album, And the Battle Begun. And the Battle Begun. Steve, give me all your thoughts right now on this album.
Okay. Well, let me introduce our guest first.
No,
okay?
start with the thoughts.
All the thoughts. We'll get there.
Now introduce. Yeah, but
usually going to be a long episode.
Very special introduction.
Actually,
please do that first. The
reason why Drive-Thru Aftermath came into existence is because, everybody is usually, a lot of people are sending us messages, this would be a good idea for a this, or this would be a good idea for a that. And we do not just throw away those ideas, folks. If they're good, we put them in our pocket, we save them. If they're great, we give an entire month to it. And Dave Scarmana, who is joining us for the first time a few months back, said, guys, just an idea here. I don't want to overstep, but you should talk about Drive-Thru Records bands and go through albums after they've left the label. And shit, that was a good idea. So we're doing it. And because you came up with such a great idea and we're doing it, we are pleased to have you for the first time. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
And where did this idea come from? I know, our good ideas usually come, we're just, half asleep and in the middle of the night we have a dream and write it down, or we're in the shower or something like that. How did you come up with this, with the Drive-Thru Summer? We came up with the name, guys. That was our genius, but you came up with the concept.
Well, I admittedly do think about Drive-Thru Records pretty regularly. And I started listening to the podcast, I think maybe not too long before the original Drive-Thru Summer a couple years ago. And I think by the time I caught wind of it or realized it was the thing, I was too many episodes behind playing catch up to reach out to you guys to be part of the inaugural, the original Drive-Thru Summer. And then I was excited to hear last summer with the leftovers, Drive-Thru leftovers. And yeah, I again, always thinking about Drive-Thru Records. Just, 95% of the bands are probably still bands I listen to today pretty regularly. So, yeah, it's thought, there's so many great albums, the label went kind of by the wayside, the late, early mid 2000s, whatever. And, there's plenty of great albums from some of these bands that have come out, 2006 or later. So I kind of, shot over the list. And my only stipulation was because they were all albums that I loved so much, I needed you guys to make the choice for me so that I wouldn't have to decide which album to talk about.
Yeah, and the Pharmaceutical Bandits are, I would say they're one of the lesser known bands. I mean, I guess if you're real into ska, you're real into Drive-Thru, you definitely know them. So we were excited to tackle this one and invite you along for the ride. Do you like the name Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath?
I love it. I think it's I think each year having its own designation is amazing. So I think the aftermath is a great concept.
Hey, we did Drive-Thru Summer 3 times? This is the third time?
So the first time was 2 years ago, and it was literally the entire summer. And we went
I don't listen to the show. Yeah,
he also is like, 10-second Tom, where he forgets things. But we did an entire summer, like 3 months, and we went through a ton of albums. Then after that, we Ace and Jeff from Early November heard our Early November episode. They came on. Rob Hitt heard our Midtown episode. He came on. And then last year we did some of the albums. It was just a month. Some of the albums that we missed. And that's when we became, best friends for life with Tom Kiger, because we did Houston Calls.
Well, that was on purpose, because all of you out there that just heard that recap, if you have not gone back to listen to those episodes, please do that, because it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and it's definitely something that I'll do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back and listen.
Especially in the very off chance that we don't have a new episode next week, go back and listen to some of the old ones. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we should re-release an episode and see if anybody notices that.
Well, we could just re-promote it.
Splice together a greatest hits, Drive-Thru Records Drive-Thru Summer greatest hits of just like controversial takes and things like that along the way.
Yeah, let's do it. The best of.
Chris,
best
now
of Drive-Thru.
You will have to listen to every one of those episodes and come up with all the time signatures so that we can splice that together.
Okay, done.
All right, we're digressing a bit, but this has been super fun. So, Chris, it's great to see you again. We had a little time away, and Dave, it's great for you to join us. We are here to talk about "And the Battle Begun" by RX Bandits. And is it supposed to be "And the Battle Begun" or is it "And the Battle Began"? Is there a proper grammar in this title or not? Anybody know?
It is the past tense, and the battle begun is correct.
So if it was began, that would mean the battle is still going on? Dave, are you an English teacher?
I'm not. Now I'm in uncharted territory as far as the proper grammar. But I can say on the album it says "begun" on the record.
So I mean, look, guys, this band basically does and mixes together and says a bunch of just stuff and randomness and different genres. Don't you think that they would potentially have in their title a mixture of past and present tense that doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense? Don't you think maybe they would think to do that? Steve?
I get the impression that they know what they're doing, and I'm just being a jerk about it and being silly.
You're not being a jerk. I get it. I ask questions too. No problem. But I think that might actually be a great point, unbeknownst to you, that this actually reflects what this band is and who they are and why they do. A lot of those questions I don't have answers to. As we go through, this album here, I see myself having a lot more questions as to why versus the last album we talked about. And refresh my memory, what was the name of that one?
That one was called Progress.
Yeah.
That was from 2001.
I'm telling you what, like, that was different. And I don't know if we plan to get into that or not, but that one was different than this one to me. And I'd love to know if you guys think the same thing, because I just had a whole different experience with that album versus this one.
Yeah, their album to album, I would say that's probably one of their best known traits, is that they do kind of diverge from any semblance of a genre or a style from album to album, from the very, I'd say, cookie cutter, very straightforward ska sounds of the late 90s on their first couple records. And then to your point, Chris, when Progress came out, that was a very different sound for them, got more reggae. And that's, I think, one of the kind of like the prog rock really started to take over and starting to get some more interesting changing time signatures. And I'm not a music expert by any means, but I think just from listening to these records for so many years, you start to appreciate why you do or don't like certain parts of them, or why they might rub you the wrong way or might seem a little bit different. But the album in between this, I think, was tough. That was when it came out, The Resignation in 2003, that was a tough one for me to get into because I fell in love with Progress so hard. And The Resignation was such a step away from that. So I think by the time And the Battle Begun came out, I was a little bit more anticipating the sound not being the same and being pretty significantly different.
Yeah, I think different is okay. And I feel like maybe Progress, and again, this is just out of my brain, was more digestible in terms of the music. Like I felt like I attached to that music a little bit more when I listen to this. I don't feel like it's as easy to be immersed in this type of music unless, again, you're a huge fan of ska or you're a huge fan of old school punk. They do a little bit of both, but outside of that, I feel like this album, and again, just initial thoughts, and I don't have any history with this. I'll just kind of go with that. This album definitely is this is how I feel. This is like a fine wine where it's going to get better with time. Like if you listen to this one over and over and over and over and over again over the course of several years, I feel like it's going to start to sound better than if you just listen to it 4 times. That's how I feel. I'm sure there's others that have different experiences, but I can tell you that I did not get into this one as much as Progress from just first draw. So that's my overall. I don't know if you guys want to talk about your history with the album or sound off on anything.
Yeah, I was getting some flashbacks to when we did Progress, because we don't do a ton of ska, especially this, which is like ska and reggae and punk kind of all mixed together. We don't do a ton of it. So I will say when I was listening to this a few times that I did start to reminisce about Progress. So I don't know that I know these guys deep enough to say like, this is so different than that. I think what my main the thing that I found difficult about doing a spotlight on an album like this is, to me, this music is very ambient. It's really great, and it's awesome when you're like driving. I went on a long bike ride the other day. I had a couple hours. I went on a long bike ride. This was awesome to listen to on a bike ride. But to sit down and listen to it, like reading the lyrics and kind of dissect it like I did later, I felt it a little bit more difficult, because it's hard to come up with things to say about each one of these tracks, but to me it was great as kind of like background ambient music. Like I had it in the background. Me and my wife were like playing cards one night, and she's like, "Oh, this is better than all the other music you listen to," because she likes kind of ska and reggae but doesn't really like pop punk, so she kind of dug it. But again, we weren't listening to the intricacies, lyrics, anything like that. So I found it a little challenging, but I think it was definitely enjoyable. I liked it as that ambient thing. And, you know, I don't have any history with RX Bandits really, other than the Welcome to the Family EP, where they had, 2 songs on there. And then we did the Progress album that was 2 years ago. So I came into this pretty fresh, hadn't heard it at all. But after I listened to it 5 or 6 times, I mean, there were songs that I was, bopping along to. I started to remember some of the words of the choruses. So it did grow on me a little bit in that short period of time.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, no, I agree that it's, I guess my best description for it, and kind of what you guys were alluding to, is I feel like this album is maybe a little bit more experiential as opposed to just song by song. Where I'd say on Progress, you can say, I like Analog Boy, and you're going to listen to that one song, or I really love the song Status, and it's just like a perfect, like, pick it up and listen to it and then go on to the next thing, kind of a situation. Whereas this album, you can't really, some of the tracks especially, you can't just like put it on and just be like, press play, because there's, these long introductions, or some of them kind of blend together, which is not too dissimilar from some of their albums, but I think they go a little bit more into like vibes and moods and improvisation, maybe a little bit on this record than the 2 before it. And yeah, I think when you say about starting to hear some of the choruses and being able to memorize some of the parts, I think most of the songs do have, if nothing else, at least like a little blast of like a spurt that, just really grabs you. But then some of them can have these really long, elaborate outros that
it's kind of jam bandish,
very, very jam bandish. Yeah. And it just kind of goes on and on and on. You like read the lyrics and it's like 2 paragraphs, and then he just spits it out just, very quickly. And you look back and you're like, where the hell did that come from? But yeah, just very, very well done. And yeah, kind of all over the place. And yeah, just a little bit of a different feel from that, breaking out of the ska mold. I think that was something that they never really particularly loved. After a certain point, it was just being, we're ska, we're reggae. I think they wanted to just be more, maybe not even called a jam band, but to have that as part of their repertoire, because it was after this record that they first played Bonnaroo, and they first played Coachella, and got into kind of the more mainstream, less kind of punk rooted avenues, I guess. So they're maybe one of the lesser known drive-through bands for drive-through purists, but they're maybe one of the more well-known bands to people who don't really who wouldn't otherwise listen to pop punk.
I don't know why they moved away from doing song. Like, I think that first of all, I can't get into jam band stuff. Like, I don't want that. That's just I just feel like it's just boring to me. Maybe I don't know. Like, I'm looking at my watch when the band's up there just jamming. Like, come on, man, stop it. Just stop it.
This is a long album. It's like 50 minutes.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. But I looked at it. I'm like, wait a minute. How many songs again? 50 minutes? And then it's like 5 minutes, 340, 401, 502. It's like, okay, here we go. But maybe that's why I didn't connect with this as much. Maybe I need an Analog Boy. If they want to do something different, give me at least something. Give me something that I can sink my teeth into like that, that'll kind of tie it all together. This album for me didn't have that, and it didn't tie anything together. And I think it was just like one thing after another. And see, the difference between me and Steve is like on a car ride when I put this on, it just seems like all one long guitar jam band session. It doesn't, and I didn't want that. And that's
I kind of feel the same.
that I like.
I don't think that's different.
Maybe because I couldn't get into it as much as maybe you did in the background. Like, for me, it just didn't resonate. But we'll talk about it.
All right. Well, just a couple of facts about this. It came out October 10th in 2006 after the RX Bandits, which was, I think, one of the first. Like, they were an early drive-through band. So after they left Drive-Thru, Matt Embry, who is the vocalist and the guitarist, created Mashdown Babylon Records, a record label. So this is on his record label. They self-produced it. And fun fact, the rhythm section for this album and the previous album was actually recorded live. So it wasn't all Pro Tools'd up, and it wasn't necessarily as polished. It was kind of, I mean, if we're going to beat this term into the ground, it was jam bandy. You know, they got on, they recorded it, and then I'm sure that, you know, the vocals and maybe the drums were recorded over that, but a lot of it was recorded live. And if you're wondering who's all in the RX Bandits, just keep in mind they have a couple of guitar players, keyboards, sax, trombone, and then bass and drums. So we have a lot of different instruments in this ska/reggae/punk, whatever you want to call them, not just your traditional 3 or 4 piece.
Yeah, and actually, the official release was in October, but it was a cool thing that they did because they self-released it or through their own record label. Was they did kind of like a fan service release that summer leading up to it. So I was able to get the album through mail order. I want to say June, July, thereabouts.
Oh, wow.
Because I was lucky enough to be living in Los Angeles at the time when it came out. So I got the album midsummer and got to see them play as part of a tour at the end of July that year. And then got to go see the record release show, which was that October. I'd say, yeah, early to mid October. Yeah, so basically got to see them twice in the same year and got to kind of experience the transition of adding these songs to the set list and really leaning into kind of the different sound.
How did they sound live as opposed to recorded on this album?
So I think when you guys are talking about the style and maybe not being your typical like style of music you listen to, I'm 100% there. I don't otherwise listen to I listen to some ska early on, but I don't otherwise listen to a lot of like prog or jam band or, you know, that type of music. I certainly got into these guys and got pulled into it through Drive-Thru and through their early albums that were a little bit more song by song based. But I think seeing them and Steel Train around the same time in that like 2003 to 2005 time frame is when I started, I guess, opening my mind to that improv performance, where it's, you know, starting to become a jam band, but also just kind of showcasing the intricacies and, you know, the proficiencies, I guess, of the different musicians. And yeah, Matt Embry and Steve Choi are just, I feel like, just so fun to watch. from RX Bandits, just like two of the most passionate, just love the live performance aspect of those guys, of all of them.
Sure. Sure. And I'm sure that if I was a music expert, I do feel like what they're doing here in this album is incredibly intricate and complicated and really maybe difficult to put together and write, and probably very creative too. That's what I feel like it is. I don't know that because obviously I don't know any of those things, but that's for someone that knows what they're talking about with music and listens to this. I feel like there's a lot of that going on here, but I'd love to hear from somebody that would know.
Well, I think on that roundtable episode with there's Adam from Homegrown and Tim from Alistair, I think they both I think maybe Tim really kind of went on and had quite a bit to say about RX Bandits. I think a lot of times back then, especially, they were kind of considered a band's band and the band that the other musicians really looked up to because of how how well they could play and do these things. And again, this is the kind of band that makes me feel like I know anything about music compared to a lot of the pop punk I listen to. So these guys, yeah, they're definitely something different, and definitely just fantastic musicians, that, to say nothing else.
Cool.
All right, boys, why don't we get into it?
Let's go, and let's kick things off with the intro track. I'm going to call it an intro track. You may not feel that way, but I do. It's just Untitled. There's no title to it. It's called Untitled. And guys, is this anything more than just a track, an a cappella track similar to Boys to Men?
Is this anything more than a track?
It's an a cappella track that there's a bunch of layering on here, and I don't know if they hired a barbershop quartet to come in and do this, or if they did this themselves. But either way, I don't think there's much more to say other than it was kind of strange. It was a bunch of just voices singing over no music.
Kind of a short ballad, you might even say.
Steve loves ballads, by the way.
I do. Yeah, I mean, there's not really all that much to say. It's a kind of strange, vocally driven intro track. It kind of sets up these lyrics, which I feel like might be repeated later on, or some of these melodies that get repeated later on. It's only like 40 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that. So while it's kind of odd, it doesn't like bother me or anything.
No, okay. And I personally love it, and yeah, it definitely sets up a theme that comes back through the record. And I was a huge Boys to Men, Beach Boys kind of a guy growing up, so I feel like that harmonizing and singing and around really impressed me and really caught me off guard. I think if nothing else, I was so surprised when I first heard this album when I put it in and pressed play that very first time.
Yeah, man, I called the radio 1,500 times for them to play On Bended Knee, and they would not play that. They wouldn't play it.
I'm sure they played it eventually.
Not because I said so, just because they wanted to, and that's unfortunate. The one last thing about this track is I feel like they're telling us, hey, guys, this is going to be weird. Like this album is going to be really weird, and we want you to know that, and here it is. And I feel like they did the job because that's what I felt. So
pop in your edible now, so it kicks in before the end of the album.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Steve. Well, did the battle begun on this next track? What say you?
Well, it's titled "And the Battle Begun," so it definitely did. There's this kind of chug-along kind of drum intro. The vocals are like kind of subdued at first, and they do this a lot throughout the album where the vocals will get kind of subdued, they'll get bigger. I like the pace of this track. I like the trumpets. A lot of songs on here, this one included, are very strangely constructed. They're jam bandy. I don't even know if there's really a traditional chorus. If it's the "Take It Away, Release All Your Tension," it comes in like super late. They have these sections that sound like computer-like. There are long instrumental breaks, but overall, I mean, it's a pretty cool, unique track. So I dug it. I thought it was cool. It's not like right in my wheelhouse or anything, but I liked it.
Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, that intro definitely caught me off guard, especially coming out of that the acapella out of the beginning. That intro and that kind of the first line that they sing made me think it was almost going to be like a kind of indie rock sound that they were going for with this one. And in 2006, that was kind of, for me personally, that was a scary place to be in, because that was the other music that a lot of my friends started listening to that I just couldn't stand. So got a little nervous. And then once they get into the never leave the house without a pocket of pills. That part of it kind of showed me that they were still, very much into ska, very much into just like, changing up, having a lot of different sections, changing up the pace of the song. It's faster, it's slower. Lyrically, I love this song, and I love that it's the single. Basically, I think if you would call anything the single from this album, it's 6 minutes long, and they've got a music video for it. So I think they were intentionally kind of bucking the trends of what the music industry was all about and what they were looking for.
I could see you potentially like trying to find the stop button, like, oh no, it's indie rock, indie rock, indie rock, and you're trying to turn it off real quick, but then you find out. And actually, it's funny you said that, because I heard that too going into this track, and maybe I was a little bit more tolerant of indie rock. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, when I first started listening to this song, I said to myself, okay, let's go. Like, this is pretty good. I don't mind this, but when it got a little bit more jam bandy, and then you get the chorus, it really doesn't have the melody that I'm really into, and it's just more kind of like of that. I kind of fell away. I will say that this backs up everything I said to date, with the guitar being super intricate. Give them a lot of credit for that. I do like the fact that the song overall has a ton of energy, fairly powerful. But outside of that, I just I couldn't get into it as much. I kind of just puttered out towards the end with this one, but I thought it had a good start.
All right, well, let's move along into her drawer. Dave, you wanna kick this one off?
Yeah. Before you do though, like, how about these song titles though? Like and I know we're only on the second one, but as we're going through this, I'm gonna make it a point, because some of these are. I don't understand why they're calling these songs what they're calling them. So,
I mean, this one I get.
In her drawers? In her drawer.
Well, drawer. Yeah, drawers would be something different. In her drawer,
Drawer.
It's referring to, pharmaceuticals, medications, and, you would not, the lyrics are not easy to decipher by your ear. So if you were reading the lyrics, you would get it immediately.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because they don't. I agree with you. Like, you can't necessarily understand, but it's not like they sing muffled or jarbled. Like, he sings pretty clear, but why is it so hard to understand what he's saying?
I think compared to some of their other records, I think some of the reviews that I read about this, a few people mentioned that the mix, and I guess where the vocals are in relation to the rhythm section, essentially the drums and the bass, I think it's maybe not as balanced, or maybe the vocals aren't placed maybe like with enough oomph to get to get that clarity like they get from some of their other albums.
Got it. Okay.
That could come from self-production. I mean, I don't know how,
Sure.
How these guys, what their backgrounds are in production.
Maybe that was maybe that was a choice. Maybe they decided they didn't want the vocals to stand out as much, and they wanted the music to stand out more. So,
and that could very well be, is that they maybe wanted the fact that they recorded it live to stand out more so than the lyrics and the vocal part of it.
So they're saying that she keeps all of her stuff in the drawer, like in a drawer.
So yeah, the song, I think this one in particular of all of RX Bandits songs leans the most, like, I guess, on the nose references to the pharmaceuticals, taking the pills, blue square to numb the pain, white hexagons to accelerate. So talking about the pills, talking about the pills are in her drawer. They're in her drawer. She says she doesn't take them. and then at the end it's they're in her drawer, but she says she takes them all. So it kind of changes the wording, and I think it's another cool thing that they do is that they don't have like the really clear defined choruses sometimes or verses or overall song structure as you would expect from like traditional rock or ska music, but they do have themes, they do come back to things, and they do have like slight variations of the lyrics that I really appreciate when bands do that, where they come back around and it's the same melody, then almost the same wording, but you change one thing and it kind of, makes the whole sentence go in a different direction essentially.
Yeah, I really like the drums in the beginning of the song, and then the horns that come right after them are, I think, a great compliment. And my main thing, especially when like reading along with the lyrics, is that these guys are playing into the RX, the Pharmaceutical Bandits, like big time in this one. There's one, I don't even know what to call it because again the structure is just whatever it is. There's a part where the lyrics are almost inaudible. But the lyrics are really strong. And I liked what he was saying. He says, society creates symptoms. The system medicates them. There is no progress in a cure. They've got their eyes on the return. It came from our own hand to squeeze the last survivor. So, I mean, a big thing about ska music is that, it says something, and, it's kind of like making a statement about, overuse of drugs. It's making a statement about, what the pharmaceutical industry is doing. So I thought that was a really strong, whatever you call it. But again, you can't hear him say that at all. The only reason I know those words is because I printed them out and like read them while I was listening. But I think again, as a song that is not one that like super stands out, because for me, like I need somewhat of a traditional song structure in order to make a song really memorable. Otherwise, it kind of falls into this jam bandy, like I said, ancillary background music. That doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's pretty good, but it's not one that like sticks out so much. But I think that maybe if they took these lyrics, they delivered it a different way, this could be a very popular song. This could be a song that gets shared on. Well, there's not really the same social media back then, but I feel like the song kind of it says something, and I like that.
I think this was one of the songs that they shared on their MySpace, which was the height of the MySpace era when this was being released.
Did you have this any of these songs as your profile song, Dave?
I did not, but I am fairly certain that RX Bandits were in my top 8.
They made the top 8.
So they were typically one of my favorite bands, and I think mostly because they kind of stood on an island. They were the only band I listened to that were like that. So there wasn't, any
honestly, I can't think of another band that's like them. I don't. I mean, I don't know a ton of these like ska/reggae bands. I mean, the one that I'm a fan of would be like Sublime, right? But then some of the other ska stuff that I listen to is just that total like pick it up like horns type ska, like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones or Say Ferris or Less Than Jake, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, either we super offended Chris or he lost his internet temporarily and he'll be back soon because he's gone for the moment. But we're going to continue on, if only for tonight. God, I'm just on fire, Dave. I'm on fire.
I was worried that this album wasn't going to lend itself because of how
to our shitty transitions.
Well, yeah. Well, some of the song titles are so out there that to be able to smoothly transition into it like that would be a pretty big stretch. But I think this one kind of leans into that direction pretty well.
Well, listen, when there's some low hanging fruit, I'm going to take it. And did you kick off the last one or no? I can't remember.
I think I started the last one in her drawer.
All right, so only for tonight, only for the night is I'll kick this one off here. So to me, this one is a little less of jam bandy, right? And this is way closer to like just a traditional song structure, right? We basically have let me look at my little page here. It kind of looks like it's like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. So I mean, we for the first time on this record have kind of a pretty traditional song structure here. Trombones for the win. I think the trombones stand out here. This one has a ton more like sing along ability for sure. I like how Matt he's kind of super calm on the verses, and then he gets louder and higher in that chorus. There's also this, I didn't know what else to call it. I called it like an African style like drum section in the bridge, kind of like one of those like chant, like sounds like, I don't know, like congas or something crazy like that. I thought this one was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, this wasn't one of the songs when this album came out that I initially latched onto, and it might have been because it was kind of an oddball one for the album, being that it was like a regular song. But yeah, I think over the years it's grown on me, and it's definitely one that I would say they play. If you look at their set lists over the years, I would say they probably play this at almost every show. And I think it's in their top Spotify tracks. So it's definitely one of their overall most popular songs. Um,
It's funny. I can't remember if it was you or Chris, because obviously I'm 10 Second Tom and completely forgot everything. But we talked about, I think you had said that the End the Battle Begun was kind of like the single. But when you look at the Spotify streams, it's not this one, it's not that one, but there's another track. I guess we'll get to it in a little bit.
yeah,
That has like 3 times the streams as the second most popular track. But I would have put my money, just listening through the record, I would put my money that this one would have been one of the more popular ones.
yeah, and the other one you're talking about is another one that they absolutely play at every show. And the only thing I can think of is that the people who are on the other side of listening to this band as like maybe they don't listen to ska, but they like the jam and maybe the reggae aspects of it. I feel like the other song that we'll get to lends itself more to that, and I think it has maybe more of like certainly not a pop song by any means, but has the closest set, like kind of like drum beat to that you would get to like thinking of dancing or
The
something
other one
like
or this
that.
one?
The other one, I would say.
Okay, we'll get to we're we'll
But I
get
think
to that one soon. That's Apparition. We
yeah,
don't have to keep everybody in suspense just for the
top secret.
yeah.
But no,
But
I love Only for the Night. The lyrics are just on the surface, it's just like, oh, it's she makes me feel better only for the night. And you read it and it's like, this is definitely some drug some drug innuendo going on in here, which I think is very well done and woven in there in a very cool way.
yeah, dual meaning, and I could see like, I don't know. Obviously, there's no record label chiming in because it's his record label. But if I could see a record label being like, "Hey, can you give us something that we could have as like a single with all this like jammy stuff?" Like, and this could be one that they would lean on for something like that. I could
Yeah,
envision that.
I would definitely agree with that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Chris 183 is on his way back in. His power went out, but it's coming back. But we are going to continue on without him, and we'll see what he wants to say about any of these when he comes back. So, On a Lonely Screen is number 5 on this record. And Dave, I will let you kind of kick this one off. I don't have a ton to say.
Yeah, no, this is one I was actually going to say. The note that I have for it is that I feel like this is almost kind of like, as I listened to it again a lot this last week, I think it's almost the beginning of what I would consider like an interlude into the middle of the album. Because this one, I think of all of the album has probably zero verse chorus. Like,
This is the one you were talking about earlier when you said, I think your friend or something, that he just starts spitting out lyrics and doesn't stop for quite some time. This had to have been that one.
yes, that last part of it. It's yeah, you get to the end of it and it's kind of like the outro, but it goes on for the better part of a minute, and then I think there's even some music after the lyrics are finished. And yeah, I mean, just I don't think I ever looked closely or hadn't looked closely at the lyrics in quite some time, and it's pretty far out there for sure. And yeah, you kind of have to like stop and digest it line by line. I'd say to fully appreciate it. But it's certainly not just one that you're going to listen to and have it on in the background, and then the next time it comes on, like, remember anything from the time before that you listened to it. You really have to kind of be in that experience mindset for listening to this one.
Oh, I meant to ask you before I chime in on this one. You held up the record. You have this on vinyl. And I was curious, do you spin this on vinyl and listen to it, or is that in the plastic and it's kind of for a collection?
It's out of the plastic. It's mostly for a collection, only because I don't have a great turntable.
Okay.
So I don't listen to a lot of I listen to a lot of music, but I don't listen to a lot of records because I'm not necessarily getting the best out of the vinyl. I'm sure someday I'll be able to take these records that I've accumulated over the years and be able to finally appreciate them. But for me, it's more of just kind of like back in the day, like certain CDs, you like to have the artwork and like to be able
Sure.
to look through the book and see the thank yous and all that kind of acknowledgments and that kind of stuff and the lyrics.
Oh yeah. And so speaking of the artwork, you know it better than I do because I've only seen it on a tiny square on my Spotify screen. But give us a quick rundown. It's a pretty cool like cover, right?
Yeah, no, the artwork's amazing. It's kind of a play on some of the like medical pharmaceutical aspects, and then also um, it's got some stuff with like floral and a crane and a woman in like a yoga posture
Yeah, it kind
and
of looks like a
like a
Kama Sutra
chickadee.
type of thing. Like there's a woman in the Kama Sutra. She has way too many hands. I think she has the right
Yep,
amount of legs.
extra arms. Yeah, it's very elaborate and just a very, I would say, beautiful work of art. And that's kind of, I'd say, one of the other things that evolved with them with RX Bandits along the way was that their album artwork became, if you look at the artwork from their old albums to Progress, was pretty basic. And then once they got to Resignation, and then through the newer albums, I think put a lot of effort into having something that kind of paralleled the music.
All right, cool. Well, back to our regularly scheduled program, and my sidebar is finished. So for on and only screen, again, not a ton of notes on this one. It did have this. I like how they kind of mix in these like machiney sounds throughout the record. I like there's like these little pops from the trumpet. My dad was a big Miles Davis fan, so when there's trumpet in music, I usually pay attention to it. And then again, my note was that the last verse is just this nonstop rant. Seems like it's kind of about a lot of things. I'm sure if I were to dissect it deeply, I could figure out exactly what it is. But the song in general is not really one that stood out to me. And again, by saying that, not like denigrating it or anything like that. It's just one that's kind of in the background. Doesn't say like this is a song for Wingman Steve, and that's that.
Yeah, I usually typically listen to this one as an album listen through, but I wouldn't go to this song on its own, I would say.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So 1980, there might be some folks out here listening who were born in the year 1980. I was not because I am much, much, much younger than that. No, just kidding. Not that much younger. But I like 1980 a lot. I think that this one to me had like the mix. I'm hearing the mix of like ska with some kind of like hardcore. Like I can see how these guys grew up in like a hardcore scene or what was around them, and they're trying to incorporate these different genres. Lots of really fast tempo shifts. Like if there's one that stood out with that, this was the first one. And then they have this like dreamy section, if you will, that stands out. I feel like it gets repeated later on. It sounds kind of like the first Untitled track, must have seen a face before, fell in love. Like I feel like that like vibe, whatever that line is somewhat of like a theme throughout this album. And then like kind of later on, there's a really good mix of, there's a section where it's just like keyboards and the hi-hat hitting, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I like 1980. I thought it was a good song. What about you?
Yeah, I love this song. As far as songs that I would just listen to or have on a playlist, for example, this would be one of them for sure, because I think it has the most if I had to put this on another RX Bandits album, I'd probably put it on the Resignation,
Okay.
because that one was a little bit more rock, less overtly ska, but like punk with horns versus like ska reggae, I guess, which I'd say there's a little bit more of that on Progress. But yeah, I love the tempo. I love how they just come in right away, hit it. I love how they bring back the part from the Untitled intro. I feel like anytime an album does stuff like that, I always love like kind of callbacks to other parts of the album. And not to like be jumping, not to be going a million miles an hour fast asleep, but I love how it does transfer into the next song very smoothly.
Well, keep it going then. I mean, a million miles an hour fast asleep. Yeah. I mean, it goes exactly right into it as if it's one song.
Yeah, and that's another thing that there's certain albums that do that, and I love it. And there's sometimes where it's kind of forced almost. I feel like this one, if you don't stop and look at the song changing, you definitely miss it, and that's how smooth it is. And it honestly makes out for I'd say two of my favorite tracks from the album. And I'd say I'd probably give the edge to a million miles an hour fast asleep just because it really gets that fast pace. It's that continuation of the fast pace from 1980, and kind of brings the middle of the album to be more energetic as opposed to like a throwaway section or like a weird like outcast section that some albums give to those like track 6, 7, 8 or whatever. I think this album interludes into these songs, and then uh, really kind of separates the punk kind of faster vibes into then like some more reggae sounds over the next couple songs as well.
Let me ask you because I've listened to this album a bunch of times for the show, but I don't have these songs don't just like live rent free in my mind. Do you think that 1980 and Million Miles an Hour Fast Asleep are different enough that they should be two songs, or do they sound similar enough? Because I mean, they have songs that are 5 to 6 minutes. If they put these together, like, do you think, like, obviously it was a conscious choice. Do you think that it should have been one song, or do you think that they're different enough, but they just had a connection, in the outro of 1980, the intro of this one?
I almost picture it like a Venn diagram where it's like there is that like that cross, specifically the crossover part of the songs that is extremely similar, but then I feel like each of them have their own, because so many songs in this album have so many different intricate parts that are unique to their songs. I think both of these also have enough of that, and I think the Million Miles an Hour Fast Asleep, I think has more of that outro, I guess elongated outro, where 1980 is more like a kind of get it in and get out kind of like fast paced song.
Get it in, get it out. Fast paced, folks. That's what it is all about. How about the whiny "How do you feel"? The first "How do you feel"? It's really weird and whiny. You remember that one?
That's one of my favorite parts. The part where it's like it's not the like the volume's down a little bit. It's almost whispered, I guess,
Yeah, but it just
like half spoken.
the voice inflection just sounded like a whine. I don't know.
It's almost like, to me, I kind of picture it like not like his voice is cracking, but it's almost like it's giving out, like it's
Yeah.
kind of almost like a vulnerability, but almost maybe like that was the take that they got while recording the vocals, and like maybe not wanting to have 100 different vocal takes. It could have just been the one that was just slightly imperfect enough to sound exactly how it needed to for the song.
Well, and listen, back in these days, I was just listening to Krista Makes a Podcast. He had Ace Enders on from early November, and they were talking about
Yep.
Decoration. It came out like today or yesterday.
I listened to it today also.
Yeah, it was. We had Ace in this show, so I was like, I got to listen to this. And they talked a little bit about, sometimes when they record things, they like to have things that sound gritty and not perfect, even though they have Pro Tools and they can fix it. They like things to come off that way. So I wonder if that, I called it whiny vocal delivery. If they wanted to have that, it just happened in the studio and they're like, let's roll with it. And I think that's cool, in an era where, the new Blink record is super produced and everything sounds perfect and maybe too perfect. These older records that they have these intricacies that we can kind of dissect and talk about. And, they can fuck around with it when they play live too. So even though I called it out as being strange, I think it's a cool thing, and obviously a choice they kept it in there. In terms of this song, I didn't really vibe this one that much. I thought that there was great guitar work in this song. That's really the thing that stood out to me, was the guitar work. Even though it's like sub 3 minutes, this song kind of felt like it was taking a long time. I don't think it's because I was in the previous song. I think just this one, I don't know. I didn't get into it that much. I did like one line that I will call out. It was towards the very end of the song. They selling you time with repeat stimuli right in front of your eyes till you feel paralyzed. And I love finding these lines that seem to only get better or worse depending upon how you look at it with time, right? Because if the RX Bandits in 2005, when they recorded this, or 6, whatever, like knew what the fuck was going to happen when we were all just addicted to smartphones, 15 years later, and iPads and streaming TV, I feel like they would have like a field day with it, with their lyrics. And they're they're really talking about this stuff like kind of before it even really happened. You know what I mean? There was On a Lonely Screen was an earlier song, and I feel like that kind of concept really would fit its way in today's society well as well. So I think that they maybe were good predictors of the future, like The Simpsons or something like that.
Yeah, no, and I think that theme, or just that awareness of the surroundings, even goes back as far as Progress. I think with their lyrics and some of the stuff they call out, like
Analog Boy in a Digital World.
Yeah, I was thinking they pull out the cell phone at the same time and pop out a pill for the same disorder, like from Analog Boy. It's like that lyric from almost 25 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, that's the same as as it is now, or even maybe more on point now than it was even when they wrote it.
Could you imagine what these guys think about people showing up at shows and just recording the entire fucking thing on their phone, and having, like, as an artist being on stage, having the phones in your face? Like, I remember I saw Yellow Card, I think during their farewell tour in 17 or 18. And, Ryan Key basically said, like, guys, like, put the phones away. Enjoy this moment. Like, this will be on YouTube, I promise you. Just put the fucking phones away. And then when we talked to him, he kind of said, like, he did get into a little mini mindset for a certain amount of time where it bugged him because he wants to see the people's faces. He doesn't want to see the phones. But I could only imagine what, Matt Embry and the rest of the gang would feel like today with what's happened to our society.
Yeah, I'm sure not loving it.
All right. Well, we preluded and talked about this song up and down without naming it until I gave it away, but as I tend to do. But Apparition is like by far the most streamed track. If you look at the Spotify numbers today, which don't necessarily mean everything. Why do you think that, Dave?
I think it definitely has the most. When you talk about like listening to a song and then going back and remembering part of it the next time you hear it, it has the most memorable instrumentation, lyrics, goes back to a chorus, repeats itself. Excuse me. And just has that like reggae feel to it that is maybe kind of more of like a cross genre approach than a lot of the other stuff. Because if you're not coming into these guys from Drive-Thru Records side of things, if you're coming into them from seeing them or hearing about them at Bonnaroo, I could see Apparition being the song that you would latch onto certainly a lot more than something like 1980, by all means, as far as just like the style of the music. And I'm trying to think if it was ever like featured on like a show or a soundtrack or something like that would have given it that many more plays than everything else in their catalog, because they do have at least one album. I think their last album came out in the Spotify age. I think everything else came out before streaming was big. So it is, I'd say, impressive that a band like this would have an older song that streams more than something that came out, right into the digital experience.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is not an apparition. Chris 183 must have gotten his power back. He's here. Hi. Welcome back.
Are we talking about it? We're not just thinking that I was silent for all this time.
Yeah, we've gone for a couple of tracks because I don't know what happened in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this evening, but maybe there's a thunderstorm. Are you okay? Is everybody
I'm
safe?
okay. Yes, I did not get hit by any kind of lightning or thunder. You
Okay,
can't get
no-
hit by thunder.
No power surge, just a quick flicker.
Yeah, it was a flicker enough to just knock everything out. But I'm back, and I'm here to talk about Operation, track number 7. Is it Operation?
Apparition.
Doesn't it sound like he's saying Operation? Listen to it.
I hadn't thought about it, but I guess I'll have to listen again.
Like the game. You ever play the game?
What game are you talking about?
Operation.
Never heard of it.
Yes, you have.
What game is that?
What? What? Stop. Come on.
Operation?
We're pop punk dads. You played Operation. I mean, the heck with that. Maybe kids today don't even know what that is.
Wow, did you see? I got him really, really riled up. He said to heck with that. He went there. All right.
Okay.
I did. I know.
You know,
Operation.
the
I was
hardest
just
thing-
goading you.
The hardest thing to get in the game of Operation is the funny bone. I will stick behind that 1,000 times over. It is really, really difficult. Okay, so Apparition. Look, I actually like this track for a lot of reasons. Actually, just a couple reasons. Number one, this one really feels like it gets close to that Sublime-y sound that I really, really appreciate. I'm a huge fan of Sublime. And I think this one kind of goes in that direction and just overall feel. So I can get into that for sure. And then the melody in this one, I think that it's haunting, but it's slower. But I kind of liked it. I like this a little bit more than maybe some of the up-tempo things, which isn't necessarily on brand for me. But guys, I think that whatever they did here with the music, with the tempo, with the sound itself, maybe they kind of just dove a little bit further into that ska, surreal, ephemeral sound. It worked. So I was a fan of this track more so than maybe the last couple tracks that I wasn't here to talk about.
Well, you just summed it all up. We got it.
Okay.
Unless you want to go back, let's finish Apparition real quick. I think that this is maybe I'm pretty sure this is like the second time on this record so far, and we're here at number 8 that we have a song with a traditional song structure. And again, it's not that I'm like a fucking stickler for having a traditional song structure, but I think that that framework is what makes people kind of remember songs and makes them stick in their brain. And that's why this one sticks in my brain. It's the, kind of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. The whole song has a very spacey, very chill vibe to it. There's the horns that follow the guitars make it really fun. Really enjoy the chorus. I mean, this is a song that one could say, comparing to a band like Sublime, you could see this being like a single that in the right time and place could have gotten radio airplay or gotten a big following. So I think that's maybe why it's stuck with people, and people, this is the most streamed song. I think overall this one probably has the most mass appeal, this one, and maybe Only for the Night, but this one is more on that like spacey, ska-y, little different vibe to it. But I see why this one has the mass appeal, and I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. I think Apparition was good.
Yeah, when you mentioned this and Only for the Night, I think when we talked about that one before and kind of paralleled them, these are actually probably and I like both of the songs, but these might be the two, like maybe two of the bigger songs on the album that I like the least, I would say. And I don't know if it's because they're more traditionally put together, and it's just maybe not what I'm looking for from RX Bandits or what it is, but even from when the album first came out and seeing them those couple times right around in 2006 when it came out, and maybe that was it, just seeing it live. I wanted a faster paced song and not the slower, kind of like reggae feel. But yeah, for whatever reason, were just two of the songs that didn't appreciate as much as the others.
All right, Chris, you have been silent for quite some time. Do you have anything in particular that you wanted to talk about any of the previous tracks that you missed, or you want to just move on to a mouth full of hollow threats?
No, we can move on,
Treats
but
or threats? I forget.
Threats.
Threats. I wrote it wrong on my.
Treats.
I wrote it in treats one place and threats another place.
I wrote down treats too. You kidding me? Maybe I just can't write. I don't write very clear. Only for the night, and I'll just go back to that one for me. It's funny you say that, Dave. See, I get what you're saying, and I think that it's just a matter of perception here. What do you want from the RX Bandits on this album? Like, what are you really looking for? And I'm looking for something a little bit different than what you're looking for. And for me, only for the night fit that bill. And that's okay with me. Again, I don't have a problem with that. And I don't need song structure either. I just want something that I connect with. And for whatever reason, only for the night and Apparition are the two that so far, so good for me. Everything else just kind of sounded like, just a long session of guitars and drums and a bunch of lyrics. So that's at first glance, but I totally get where you're coming from. If you're looking for that other style, those songs do not give that to you. Mouthful of hollow threats. Treats sounds. I want to say treats now.
I think it fits either way. I think I wrote treats on the thing that we shared. That's why.
Oh yeah,
I think I fucked it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the screen now, and it's I'm seeing treats.
Well, look, I mean, this song picks up. It's the pace quickens again, right? You get a little bit more aggression on this particular track. Get back into the ska. You get that punk sound. I don't know. Like this brings me back to what I heard before, and even though I like some of the things that they do with the guitar, and I really think the choruses have potential here to grow on me for sure, because they have this way about them. I actually I listened to this song several times just for the fact that I'm like, can I get into the song just because I get a hint of something I really like in the choruses, and it wasn't enough to get there, but ultimately I could see this one growing on me over time. That's really all I have to say here. I appreciate the shift back to a little bit faster, but I don't know. I would rather skip backwards and listen to Apparition again. But what did you guys think?
Go ahead, Dave.
Upon further review, I can verify that Spotify says a mouthful of hollow treats.
So where did I get threats from? So somewhere I screwed up.
A mouthful of hollow threats is the actual name of the song.
Oh my God, you're right. So Spotify says treats.
Spotify says treats, and even more elaborately, I was gonna
you
see
have
if
the
Spotify
vinyl right there. You have to confirm.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. It says, well, and I was gonna say even more elaborately, I was gonna see if this was on Spotify and if I missed it before. It's actually a mouthful of hollow threats? Question mark.
Is it both?
It has it has the punctuation on the vinyl. It says a mouthful of hollow threats as a question.
So Spotify is asking us if that's correct.
No, Spotify's wrong. Spotify says treats.
Yeah, Spotify is incorrect.
How do you get in touch with Spotify to let them know?
I'll call them real quick and
send them a text.
And I was looking back because I think there was this similar thing on Progress, and I'm looking at that. They had another song by RX Bandits on a different album, categorized wrong. It says nothing scared instead of nothing sacred from Progress. So interestingly enough, two from the same band. So whoever's
I wonder if these guys just are not plugged into Spotify. So somebody accidentally missed a letter and nobody.
I'm sure, yeah, it's just a clerical thing. I'd have to imagine.
But who submits this into Spotify? Isn't it the band that does it?
I would think for a self-release, it would be the band.
Yeah, a band or the record label, but in this case, the record label is the band.
Yeah.
Can you make corrections if you see that it's wrong?
One would assume that they would have to be able to do that, yeah.
So they were just like, yeah, whatever. It's the same thing. Threats, treats, it's all the same.
They
Doesn't
also
matter.
lose the question mark, which I think is if you're putting a question mark in the name of your song, you're making some sort of statement. It's a mouthful of hollow threats.
Yeah.
On Spotify, it's a mouthful of hollow treats.
You guys have not had a mouthful of opinions at all on this song yet, so I want to hear.
I got a hot take on the first like 5 seconds of the song. The first 5 seconds of the song sounds like Smash Mouth. Like when I hear it, I think it's like Walking on the Sun, or it sounds like Smash. Listen again, just the first like 5 seconds. Nothing after that. But so to me, the only thing about this song that I would really say is that this is one of the most standouty choruses on the album. I think that whole makes no difference, who's to blame. That is something that if you listen to this record like once all the way through, you have the possibility that you will remember that and you'll be able to sing that the next time you listen to the record. And I appreciate a catchy chorus. So I like the mouthful of hollow treat threats.
Treat threats.
No, I do love that. I didn't pick up the similarities to Smash Mouth, but I do appreciate that that chorus, and I think it's just that hook, and maybe that's why I would prefer this. Why I'd prefer a mouthful of hollow threats to Apparition, because I think on this album I like some of the songs that have more of just either a short chorus or maybe a just like a really fast here, like kind of pops up chorus. Or something that's maybe just a short hook, as opposed to like a really defined chorus that comes back around and is as memorable as a whole, part of the song, as opposed to just a quickly changing section. Maybe I don't know if that even makes sense.
No, it does. I get you, but I also know that there are. I gotta feel that the individuals that really love RX Bandits, not just this album, but overall, are very passionate about liking this band because of the music they make and because of the different sound that they have, no matter what album you're talking about. And I feel like Wingman Steve went and pissed them all off by making a comparison to Smash Mouth on one of these songs. So thank you, Wingman Steve, for doing that. Those individuals will probably not listen to the show again, but that's okay, right? That's just kind of the way it goes. He tends to do that.
Smash Mouth fans or RX Bandits fans, are you guys losing both of those segments after this?
We might. I made sure of that, but that's okay. That's okay. We can do the latter, but the former, I don't know. I guess it's too late. I guess
hot take.
It's just
hot
too
take.
late. Yeah, definitely a hot take. Hot like the sun that you're walking on.
Not me.
Can't believe you made another Smash Mouth reference. You just can't stop.
If I hear it, I speak it. That's all.
You just can't stop. There's other bands.
It wasn't a pro Smash Mouth. It wasn't an anti Smash Mouth. It was just an observation.
Well, I mean, yeah. I tend to stay away from that, but
it's how the story
all
goes.
Good, man. All good. To each his own. Just like to each his own's opinion on epoxy lips. What's epoxy? Isn't that some sort of putty?
Maybe.
Or is that epoxy?
I don't really know.
I think epoxy is like what you use to seal something. So I think it's like mouth shut. I guess is kind of the would be the takeaway just from the title.
Well, that is very insightful, Dave. Why don't you talk about this song?
So I would say, I don't know if this is a hot take, but it was something that maybe just occurred to me for the first time listening to this album, in preparation for doing this episode. But I think after listening to this several times, I'd gone back and forth, and I think I can definitively say that this should have been the closing track on the album. I think just the way that the song structure is and the way that it crescendos, I guess, in certain ways in certain times of the song. Um, just kind of hits just right, and then there's like a long elaborate interlude with like kind of that like stepstone build up back that brings it back into that like short little chorus piece, and then like the yelling kind of end part of the song. And then it has like just like a creepy almost sounding piano playing at the end, and then goes into it brings it all the way back to the beginning of the album with the that untitled acapella track, and it brings it back in and it plays it in reverse. So everything about it just kind of struck me that like you have this like really slow part in the middle that builds up to a huge part of the end, weird piano thing, and then flip that intro, and then the album's done. And to me, like that just for some reason just like would hit so perfectly to like conclude it basically.
Yeah, 100% agree. And that little weird ending with the backwards section would, if someone's listening to it on repeat, would tie right back into the beginning.
Right, bro.
Yeah, that's a good take. That's a good take. In terms of Epoxy Lips for me, you know, this is one of the more jam bandy songs. I mean, at 6 minutes and 4 seconds, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. Like 3 minutes in, there's this kind of like Indian type breakdown, and then it goes into this like soft and creepy tempo and delivery. And then there's this like circusy, like it seems like a circus like tempo. Yeah. But then it like ends up speeding back up into kind of the original vibe, the first 3 minutes of the song vibe. And then, as you mentioned, it ends with this backwards section of that intro track / the part that was in 1980. Overall, this is just a super like unique song. And again, it's not one where I would be like, oh, you never heard of RX Bandits? Put this one on. But it is pretty enjoyable. Like I don't necessarily like get worn out from it being 6 minutes long because there's so much stuff going on. So I liked it, but you're totally right. And I did not think of this originally. Again, this is you coming up with an idea for the show, and us, you know, we'll take it. We'll make it our own, but it was your idea. This should be the last track. You're right.
Yeah, I'll back you guys up on that. I see that last track thing, but I don't know what's going on here. Like I'm just kind of like, what in the world is happening with this song? It's like everybody had, hey guys, let's all make up like different stuff, and then we'll just mix it all together and see how we can do that, and that'll be cool. It's kind of how it felt, and they did a good job with that for the most part. I think that the transitions were, even though they were abrupt, it made sense. So kudos to them for being able to do that. But that doesn't mean that I definitely was into it, because for me, like it didn't tell enough of a story for me. It was just too abrupt, too disjointed for me to really kind of get into it from front to back. It did not tell a story. It did not take me on a journey. It took me into like I felt like I was kind of in a surf type movie, like that. That beginning riff was kind of surfy in nature. I don't know. Maybe I just was hearing things because I don't know what to hear here, but it took me from that to something scary. So maybe it's like a movie where I'm surfing, and then all of a sudden, like I fall into the water and end up in this dark room somehow under the water, and there's these ghosts down there, and I get scared, and then finally I find my way out, and then there's a party on the beach that I'm able to have a good time at. Maybe that's how I see the song.
Yeah,
Which,
and I think what Steve was saying as far as recommending this as like, oh hey, check out this song if you've never heard RX Bandits. I think if you take out that part, if there wasn't the part that at the end of the world we'll all have a big party where like it's really slow and whispering, and you know,
yeah,
that kind of goes on for quite a long time when you talk about the length of the song. If you took that out, I think it is more of like a put together, has like the right timing for, verse, chorus, verse kind of situation. But I think because of that interlude, I think, and again, kind of goes back to my point of like, it should be the closing track because it just has like just something else to it. And like, it just kind of catches you at the end and goes into that reverse intro thing. I think they missed a great opportunity there.
Maybe, but reverse words give me the creeps. I can't listen to that. Like, I do not want to
You don't
listen
like
to
that?
No, I don't.
It scares you.
I don't like it. You love it? You want to hear that?
It doesn't scare me like it scares you.
I'm going to play it for you. You're going to be in a dark room and you're not going to be able to see anything. I'm going to play reverse speech and you're going to get freaked out. You watch.
I just think about, remember when we did the Rocker episode and
Yes.
Dimitri Martin was making them do the song in reverse and it was like it kind of just makes me laugh.
This is different though. This is a little bit different of an arena.
I'm
This
laughing
sounds
just
different.
thinking about that right now.
Telling you, man, you do not want to mess with this in the
Dave,
right setting.
Dave, do you have a good transition for Tainted Wheat? I think
Nobody does.
No, Dave.
Nobody does.
Dave mentioned our transitions. You've got to have a good Tainted Wheat transition.
Why would there be tainted wheat? I mean, I don't even care. Like, what does that mean?
You got to give him the chance. He's got one.
All right, do
Give
it.
him the chance. No, this is actually, I was about to say, this is
That's
a
a
song that
storyline
I just had, yeah. I had so little prepared for this one because I feel like it's almost, it's a good song. And I think there's, I don't know, like a good, like middle part to it. There's parts of it that I do like, but as a whole, I would say this is one of the harder ones for me to really get into because I think it's just that the beginning of it and like the pacing of it doesn't match up at all with the like the later parts of it. And I don't know, I think for as much as I like some of the different changes within the songs, I feel like this is one that for some reason the changes didn't line up as much as I would like it normally. Kind of tainted the sound for me.
Tainted it. I kind of like when they go from like the more jammy stuff, like the previous song, into like a rock song or something that's more traditional. Like I feel like when they kind of go back and forth between the two, it's probably something for everyone because the people that are looking for something more traditional, or that's just hits their ears like it does for me, or the people like a jam. Like I feel like when they go from one to the other, it's a good choice not to have like sections of the rock and then sections of like the jam band stuff. Yeah, I think this is a pretty decent one here on the back end of the record. The chorus is pretty fun. It's pretty catchy. And that's really all I got.
I don't think the chorus is catchy at all. I don't think there's anything fun about this. I don't think it's unfun. I'm not mad about it. I just don't see that. I hear just a bunch of disjointed guitar It doesn't feel like the guitar matches the song. It feels like they're just going, "Hey man, calm down over there. Like we understand you're a good guitarist, but you have to slow down a little bit. It's not going with the song at all." And then another guy was like, "All right, let's just go with that anyway." And that's what they did. And what it does do is whoever is on the guitar here, phenomenal work, right? But regardless of whether or not it felt disjointed or not, the guitar work was amazing on this track. So, hats off to that. I'll give credit where credit's due, but I just didn't think it matched for me. I'm not into this melody at all. I didn't think it was fun or catchy. I don't understand. I want somebody to make a song entitled "Tainted Wheat" with "Tainted Wheat" in the chorus, but like more of a catchy sing-songy
Tainted
tune.
Wheat.
That's Tainted Love. That's no.
Do you know what Tainted Wheat is? It's the worst fucking name for a beer on earth. That's what it is.
Is that a name?
No, but if it was, it would be the worst name for a beer.
You know people that are in the beer industry. Maybe you can get them to make it.
I would not recommend that. That
Just
would
a one
not
shot.
elicit
Just a one
good
and
sales.
done. Just a one and done.
Tainted Wheat.
We could do a High School Never Ends beer called Tainted Wheat.
I feel like we could find something better than that. I can't pull it off the top of my
If you're
head
go-
right now, but we
yeah,
could.
if you're going for the worst name of maybe the most obscure reference of anything from any episode ever, that would be maybe the most perfect perfect thing
I,
for that.
The
we're
dudes
sitting
at
on.
Departed Souls, they come up with really good pop punk beers and beer names.
I got
Shout out Departed Souls.
I got a lot of ideas, and that's one of them. So it's either you're in or you're out, and I don't want the you just sighed at me. That's not how we have this. This partnership's not about sighing at each other. You have to consider it.
I don't remember sighing. Did I sigh?
I saw you.
I'll listen.
Saw
back.
you sigh. You wanted to sigh.
I kind of want to sigh right now.
Oh my god.
All right.
This is-
Well, listen. Ending the album with 2 5+ minute songs is it's a choice. It is a choice, and not Epoxy Lips, which should have been the last one, but second to last song is called To Our Unborn Daughters, and this one has like some crazy kind of like, I don't know, nature sounds, very very trippy. It kind of feels like this would be really good on like an acid trip or something like that, like on a, if you're on a different plane in your brainwaves. I feel like it's good as like ambient music, but I can't really like, it was really hard for me to pay attention to the details of this one and say that like I remember it or I liked it really well. I don't know. Did you guys? Maybe you guys pulled something more than I did. I couldn't.
I'll go next. I'll go next on this one, Dave. I know because I will be brief. I promise. No, I first of all, like when there's no acid trips in my future, and there wasn't in my past either. So
It was an if, not a when.
Mhm. So I can't use that. I'm sorry. Like maybe you're right.
I mean,
Maybe
you've
you're
seen
right.
movies where there are acid trips. Like
I
you
don't watch
understand the
movies.
concept of an acid trip.
I never watch movies. I'm sorry.
Yes, you do. You go to the movies like every week.
So I mean, look, there's just lots of instrumentals. This song is chock full of instrumental stuff. A lot of guitar stuff. Once again, they love that guitar. I'll tell you that much. They just love to play it and 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 play it. And then my last one was no song ? Like I don't know where the song is in this one. I feel like it's kind of lost in the shuffle with all of the sounds and long guitars.
I think I mentioned in the very beginning that if you took an edible in the beginning of the record, like this is where it kicks in. And then this song is probably like the shit.
It takes that long to kick in. That's a poor quality.
An edible probably takes at least 30 minutes to an hour to kick in.
I don't know anything
I'll
about
just,
it.
I'll just,
That's
educate
good
you.
advice. Good advice for all the kids out there.
I've
for
had
sure.
several tonight. It's kicking in now.
Well, Dave, outside of that conversation, what say you? I feel like you're going to be a little bit more positive than me, so let's take us back up.
So I guess when you said like where is the song, I think this is like a 1-minute song in a 6-minute track, basically, because there is like so much ambient and interlude and like that intro, like the beginning, like lyric section, even it's like almost like whispered into it, and it sounds really cool, and it would be probably fantastic if you're taking an edible. But it's another one where you can't just be like, hey, you should check out RX Bandits, here's the first song to listen to. But I can say that where the song is, and it's a lot of, I'd say, exposition or a lot of lyrics for as short of a song as it is, like when it all comes to it. I think it's a great song. I think it's really well put together. The put it down rhetoric, like it's just like another one of these like little, it's not a big extended chorus, it's just a nice memorable hook that gets you. But again, it's just it's not say buried in, but it's in the midst of just such a long track that it does kind of get lost, I'd say, upon first review. But I did write a college essay. I forget what the prompt was, but it needed to be something about like a statement about women, was maybe the prompt, and I used this song as like the prompt or the discussion point of whatever the composition thing was that I was writing.
It's an interesting thing to, if you're gonna write a song for your unborn daughters, it is definitely taking a stance on society and telling them some harsh things that, maybe they should take some time to chew on. They thrust you their products by making you feel insecure. The matriarch was murdered, and now woman is a 4-letter word. Put a price on your body to convince you that it's all you're worth. They're afraid of the power they lose and the gift of creation, so don't you ever listen. So while it is a song for the daughters, I feel like maybe it's more for an older daughter and not the unborn daughter. I think it's quite the high level song and lyrical content. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think it's maybe one of those where it's like the foreshadowing, where before the daughter is born what the world is like and what the odds are against women in society. So that's like, as you're raising them, like keeping them mindful of these things. And I think pushing a positive message with essentially a negative reality, or trying to give the encouragement in such a way.
It's a good way to say it. It's a good way to say it.
The don't you ever listen, like the way that he shouts it, I feel like is like really strong encouragement.
I had a metaphor, but now I'm not going to use it because I don't feel like it's appropriate based on what you guys just talked about. So, like,
That's
you brought
unfortunate.
this,
I kind of want to know what it is.
you brought this to a very serious level, and I was going to take it in a different direction.
I mean, we didn't. The RX Bandits did.
Okay, but I have 2 born daughters that I could talk to them about this song. I could play this for them. Should I?
That would be your choice as a parent.
They're not unborn. They're both born. They're here.
I feel like this song would probably be better for a born child in terms
Yes,
of
I'd go
like,
born.
the ability to listen to it and maybe understand it.
Because babies can't hear anything.
Unborn babies, they can
When
hear
they're
music in
unborn.
the womb. They can.
But before that, like even before that,
When they're unborn, they would probably appreciate the interlude beginning part of the song, and then when they're born, they probably appreciate the lyrical aspects of it.
Like
I agree.
way after they're born, they would appreciate.
Yeah,
the
maybe like
the lyrics.
maybe teenage years.
like I was thinking about it, like, are we talking about, hey, it would be cool to have a kid, but maybe it'll be a daughter. And if we did, we got to play this song for her. Like, I'm talking way before. That's what I'm talking about. Is that not what you're talking about?
I think yes. I think it's having
Silence in the response.
having the thought, the acknowledgement of the reality, writing the song, and then having that for them when they're at the age to understand it.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I was
Thank you
thinking
for bringing
too.
us back down to earth, Dave. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for crushing everything that I can't do it.
All
So,
right.
go ahead. Yeah.
Let's wrap up the album Crushing Destroyer. And so I'll go into this one. I feel like, all right, so we've determined that there was another song that probably should have been the last song, but I do like this song as a final track. I feel like this song has got a bit of everything that we've experienced throughout this album. It's got a chorus. It's got like the chaotic nature that this entire album has had. It's got the different time signatures. It's got the horns, the guitars. It's got this really weird slow section. And there's a really fast horn section, which I liked a lot. So I thought this was a cool track to end it off because it's got, again, a little bit of everything that we've experienced. Could I sing the song for you right now, even having listened to it like a whole shitload of times? No, I couldn't, but I did enjoy listening to it, and I liked it. Good stuff.
We do emo karaoke. Can I do this song?
You can do anything you want, Chris. If the band can, like with a band, or the band has to know it, or if it's
We'll
just
tell
like,
them in advance that this is what I want to do so they can learn it.
they'd have to have some horn players.
I mean, I know
Are
how
you
to
saying
play.
that you like the song so much that you really wish to sing it?
I actually do like this song. I do. I think that this really kind of puts a bow on the album for me. Like, this is a much better song, guys. I think this one sounds great. It was enjoyable. You talked about fun. Like, this is what fun sounds like to me for sure. And I kind of wish like there was more of this on the album. It's the tune, right? It's just certain tunes connect with you. It's a little bit less chaotic, a little bit I mean, it's chaotic in ways that you already explained, but it sounds more like a song to me and less about just a bunch of just randomness that I just can't get into. So guys, I really like the way they kind of ended this album with this song because I left it on a high note. So what did you think, Dave?
Yeah, no, and I don't want to say that this isn't a great closing song because it certainly is. Like I said, it wasn't even until recently that it was an epiphany that Epoxy Lips may have been a better choice for the ending song. I think they did still end up with a great closing song. I feel like there's some similarity, not song structure wise, but maybe like song intensity wise to the closing song from the album before this, De Crescendo from their album The Resignation. And yeah, I think as for a song that is as elaborate, has as many different, time signature changes and different parts, it is still very cohesive and still plays out like a traditional song structure would. So this would be one of those songs I would say that you could hand to somebody as kind of its own thing. Like, hey, if you haven't listened to RX Bandits and if you're not so into maybe like just straightforward ska or reggae, and you like maybe more of the rock, punk, progress, like prog kind of side of things, this would probably be the song to start somebody out on as kind of a jumping off point for the band.
Well
All right.
said.
We got through it. The battle is over. The battle's done.
Maybe that means I'm a prog guy. Maybe I'm just a prog guy at heart. I don't know. Do you ever think about that, Steve? Do you feel like that's maybe where I'm coming from here on the show?
I wouldn't personally categorize you that way, but you can be anything you want to be, Chris.
You know that I recently grew a mustache, but I shaved it off.
Well, I see it's very neat and trimmed at the moment.
But I would feel like people that are into progressive rock have a lot of mustaches.
Like Seaway, like those
Yeah.
guys?
Mm-hmm. They all have mustaches, actually. That said, guys, we, like you said, we did it. We got through the entire album, but this is the time in the show. And Dave, this is the first time you've been a part of this. I feel like you probably listened to this segment before, and I believe you know where I'm going. But in case you don't, we are at the point where we have to rank it. That's right. This is ranking it. My favorite part of the show, where we get to rank our top 3 favorite tracks on the album and The Battle Begun by the RX Bandits. It came out in 2006. This is going to be a very interesting exercise for me because I do not know which way to go, and I really don't know which way you guys are going to go because I think you liked a lot more tracks on this than I did. So that said, let's start things off with the guest. We always start with the guest. So Dave, why don't you go ahead and give us your top 3 on the album in order, 3 to 1, go.
Say number 3 would be the song that immediately upon first listening to this album, however many years ago, the first song that really, really grabbed me was In Her Drawer. Number 2, I think I'd have to go with Crushing Destroyer. I think that's as far as a standalone song goes, through their entire portfolio, probably one of my all-time favorite songs. And I don't know if it's just grown on me so much in this last week or so, and just listened to it more and maybe just a different way than I ever had before. But I'm gonna go with my favorite from the album as Epoxy Lips.
Wow. Number 1 overall, Epoxy Lips. I don't think I would have guessed that. I thought you were going to go in a different direction, but that's a great top 3.
Wingman Steve, what is your top 3 songs?
I'm going to have exactly 0 the same as Dave, because
Nice.
he's into the pharmaceutical bandits and their jammy stuff, and I'm into a little bit more of the tighter structured stuff. I'm going to go number 3 with Apparition. Apparition is it's just one that gets kind of stuck in your head. It could easily have been number 1. Number 2, again, I really like the chorus. I'm going to go with A Mouthful of Hollow Threats? Treats? Threats? I don't know. I might have a question mark at the end. I might not. And number 1 was actually pretty easy for me. The one that gets stuck in my head the most that I am singing back to myself is Only for the Night. Only for the Night. That's the one that I find myself when I'm listening to the album and it comes on. I'm ready to sing and I enjoy it. So that's my number 1.
All righty. Well, here we go. And if you are paying attention out there and you listen to this episode, you probably already know what my top 3 are going to be. But
we missed like 5 songs that we talked about while you were power outaged.
That's okay. Listen to the special behind the paywall episode where I talk about those 5 songs.
Chris popped open his iPhone and just talked about the songs as if he was in real time.
Yeah, that's a new thing that we're doing. So surprise. But
find us on Patreon.
Yes, sir. Not yet. But my top 3 songs off of this album that I was very confused about is number 3, Crushing Destroyer. That's a number 3 song, in my opinion. It brings me back to what I want to listen to at the end of the album. It gets me going to say, you know what? Let's give this album one more shot and start it from the beginning. So I am here for Crushing Destroyer. Number 2 is Apparition. Can't even say it. Guys, this song brought me back to that sublime sound that I loved so much. I really got into this track, even though it was a little bit slower. I still thought it was definitely one that I could listen to over and over again. And then number 1, Steve, they call it a blue moon because you don't necessarily have this happen too often. But this is one of those situations where you and I agree. And the number 1 track on this album is Only for the Night. This was an immediate, yes, I like this one when I listen to it. I don't know, earworm is maybe the term for me, maybe for you, maybe for others. But it's the one that really caught me as I was making my way through this album. Bar none, top of the heap, no questions asked. This was the song. So that's my top 3 on this album. And that's ranking it, guys.
It's funny when you said Blue Moon, I thought maybe you might talk about A Tainted Wheat, but you did not. You didn't. There was no. That was not a connection.
No, and I did find out that if you drink a beer that's past expiration, that you will not get sick. It just doesn't taste as good, in case you're wondering.
You know, when I was in college, we used to, we drank Natty Light a lot, and on the bottom of the Natty Lights were dates. I think that they were dates like when they were good through or whatever, and we got a kick out of just being stupid and drunk, and we would call the beer company and like yell at them because we like drank beers that were past their expiration date. I don't remember why that was funny right now. I started telling that story, but it was definitely funny like back then. It really was.
Did they give you anything?
I think they did send us some coupons or something like that. Like we bought like one of those big 30-pack cubes, but it was past the date. And so they, I don't know, sent us a coupon or something.
So they're like, hey, so you're yelling at us because you guys waited until after the expiration to drink the beer? Do I understand that properly?
Oh, we did not wait a minute to drink the beer. It was probably sold to us that way.
Oh, well then that's a different story. Okay.
And maybe
I'm on your
distributor.
side. Yeah, that's not funny. That's very serious.
It is. But we had a good time just being stupid and calling a beer company. But anyways, Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath is continuing. We have several more episodes that we are going to get into. And Dave, Once again, thank you so much for the suggestion. This was a great suggestion. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been a fantastic guest to walk through RX Bandits and the battle begun. Do you want to tell people where to follow you on the things or anything you want to plug?
My Instagram is D Scarmana, so that's a last name that's impossible to spell, and probably mostly irrelevant for people unless they want to see a guy drinking beers all the time.
We like that.
But I just on behalf of the band, a couple of things that I've gotten into a little bit more leading up to this episode was Steve Choi, the lead guitarist and keyboardist, has a new I guess side project called Hard Chiller that just released an EP this year. Very different from what I normally listen to, or maybe not so different, but a little bit different, more, I guess, shoegaze style. But really well done. It has the singer from Indian Lakes and the bassist from No Motive. So really cool, eclectic lineup of musicians, players, and just really well done. And he also has a podcast called The Musicians Guild. He interviews some Drive-Thru alum. He has his first episode is with Matt Embry, the singer from RX Bandits, but he interviews Vinny Caruana from The Movie Life, and he interviews everybody's favorite Kenny Vasoli.
Oh boy.
And I feel like a couple others from the Drive-Thru years as well. And it's all over the place. And it's just kind of an interesting listen. Some music stuff and some just very sporadic, random conversations that can be somewhat interesting.
I love sporadic conversations, and they can be interesting. They really can. But we appreciate you, Dave. So thank you for being on the show. I'll have to check those. I'll have to check that show out. Sounds pretty interesting. We do appreciate you. You've always been very vocal on the socials in terms of your thoughts and feelings on the episodes that you listen to. So now that you've been on High School Never Ends, you have to give your thoughts and feelings on this episode once it comes out. So I'll be looking forward to that. And one more thing, since you do drink the beers on the Instagrams, I feel like you have to crack open an expired Keystone Ice or Light in celebration of this episode. What do you think?
Drink. Yeah, no, definitely. Try to find an old Blue Moon and drink a tainted wheat while listening to this episode.
Okay, I have an old Beast in my fridge that probably I shouldn't drink because it's been there for a long time. It's like there's one in the back of the fridge that nobody ever drinks.
I've got a Miller Lite like that in my fridge. So
it's just an emergency beer. If you need a beer, it's there.
You never know. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
No one's ever going to drink it. Like I swear, no one. Maybe I can, if I put it in the front. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a 6-pack of fresh Beast, and I'm going to drink one of them, and then I'm going to put that one in with that 6-pack. So then when friends come over, I could just tell them, "Hey, I bought a fresh 6-pack. Let's have some beer. Here's yours," and I'll give it to somebody.
And then they come down with epoxy lips.
There's no, guys.
The one that the label just doesn't match with the rest of them. Don't worry about that.
That said, I hope everybody had a great time listening to High School Never Ends. We want to talk more about Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath. Do you like that? See?
Best one yet.
We want to talk more about this, guys. So more to come, right? We're not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. Maybe Steve will. But we want to talk more about these bands. So stay tuned for future episodes where we will get into other albums because the fun is still going strong. And hey, if you have thoughts and feelings on this episode or previous episodes, whether it's Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath or anything else that we've done, we want to hear from you. And the best way to connect with us is via the socials. Facebook, Instagram, Discord, they all work, right? Reach out, let us know what you think about the episode. Give us your opinion. Agree with me, disagree with me. Either way, that's fine. Our hub to get connected to all of those socials is simply put, www.hsnepod.com.
That is right. Correct, 100%. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review and a 5-star rating and write us a nice review. You can do that on Apple or Spotify as well. And you can always support our show by buying some merch at hsnepod.com. We have mugs, we have hats, we have shirts, we have hoodies. Lots of good stuff. I actually had some custom T-shirts created for Four Chord Music Festival, so maybe we'll have to stick those out where other people can purchase them. But please support our show and the Dragon Wagon Independent Podcast Network by buying some merch from HSNE Pod. And we're going to be back next week-ish, maybe the week after. We get back soon. We're going to continue Drive-Thru Summer Aftermath. Until then, keep on rocking your dad bods, throw up your rock hands, and blast the pop punk.
Hey, thanks for listening to Dragon Wagon Radio. If you're enjoying this show, check out DragonWagonShop.com and get yourself some sweet merch while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. That's DragonWagonShop.com.
Dragon Wagon.